I'm Shelly Turner, and I'm showing you how to do some list hopping for fun. And we're in the part where we're going to talk about the automation rules. How do we make it happen that they go from one list to another based on what they're doing on our website? So we've got some automation rules that we're going to set up. And the automation rules are for video 1, that means when they hit the video 1 page, they're going to actually get removed from list 1. So we got that crossed out. And we've got it added to list 2, so we're going to add them to list 2. So that's a rule that we have to set up in the system. And then for video 2, that's another rule. That means when they hit the video 2 page, we're going to remove them from list 2 and we're going to add them to list 3. So that's another rule that we're going to set up in the system. And then the next one is the checkout rule. And for the checkout rule, when they land on the checkout page, we're going to add them to the checkout subscriber list and then remove them or move them from list 3. So everything that's happening is actually not really removing but moving them. I've got the word remove, but it's actually move, because what happens is they'll go into list 1, and then when they hit this page and watch the video for 10 minutes, they'll be moved from list 1 to list 2. And then when they hop on the video 2 page and watch that video for 10 minutes, they'll be moved from list 2 and added to list 3. And then when they land on the checkout page, the automation rules will actually move them from list 3 to the checkout list. So there's a lot that's going to be happening. Remember that we've already set up in our offer manager the ability to add them to the customer subscriber list. So as soon as they're done with their purchase, they go completely through the purchase process, they'll be added to the customer or paid customer subscriber list. So we don't have to set up a rule for that because it's already set up in the offer manager. But we are going to have to set up automation rules for these 3 items here. So let's go ahead and jump into the area that will do that. So here I am in Mailing Boss, and this is the essential place that I'm going to set up these rules to be able to do my list hopping. And where we're going to do it in is I'm going to go to Menu on the top left-hand side, and I'm going to go down to Integration Key. And here's where I'm going to set up my rules. And to add a new rule, all I need to do is click Add Rule. I've actually already got my rules set up, so I'll show you exactly how I set them up. So the first one we're talking about is when we hit the video 1 page. And if you remember, when we hit the video 1 page, we're going to remove them from list 1, or not remove them, but move them. We're going to move them from list 1 and add them to list 2. So let's take a look at how we do that. I'm just going to click Update, and this is the exact screen that you'll see. So I put the reference name of video 1 to remind me that this is when they hit the video 1 page. The timeout sequence is set at 0, and that's because I want it to happen immediately for test purposes. For you, you can set it to 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever timeout time you want to activate this trigger. So if you want it to happen 10 minutes after they hit the page, then you just put the number 10 in there, and it will trigger at 10 minutes in. For testing, I've just got it at 0. So here's the list right here, which is list number 1, and then the action taken, I've chosen to move the user to another list. There's several other actions. You can choose to subscribe user in a list, you can insert a tag, you can move the user, unsubscribe the user, or delete the subscriber. Of course, this one I want to move the user. I don't want them to be in list 1 anymore. I want to move them, and they'll be moved to list 2. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. And then I went ahead and created a tag for it as well. So they'll be tagged that they saw video 1 in their subscriber information. So that's how I set up the video 1 rule. And I'll go ahead and click Save Rule. And now we'll look at the video 2 rule. And it's going to look really, really similar. So here's the video 2 rule. And I'm just going to go ahead and click Edit or Update. And again, the reference code is video 2. The timeout is 0, but again, if you want them to watch 10 minutes of the video on the page, then you can set that up to trigger at 10 minutes in. The list is list 2 this time, right? I want them taken or moved off of list 2 and added to list 3. So that's what I want to happen when they land on this page and stay on this page for 0 seconds, 0 minutes, but you can set this at 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you want. And then I also created a tag that says video 2. So once they hit this time limit, I'll also have a tag attached to them showing that they watched video 2. So they'll be on the correct subscriber list and they'll be tagged with video 2, and that tag will follow them no matter what list they're on. Okay, so that's the second one that created. Now we've got one more rule that we created, and that is the checkout rule. So if I take a look at that, I'm going to go ahead and update it. And what I'm saying here is I referenced it as checkout. I set it for 0 minutes. For this one, we don't need a time limit because there's not like a video we require them to watch. So we can actually set the time at 0, and that would be okay. That means as soon as they hit the checkout page, this would trigger to happen. And what's going to happen? It's going to move the subscriber from list 3 over to the checkout list. So it's just moving them from one list to another. So they're moving from list 3 to the checkout list to let me know that they have gone through and they've done the opt-in form, they've done video 1, they've done video 2, and now they're moving on to the checkout page and they've landed on the checkout page. Why is this important? Because once they're identified as landing on the checkout, that means they've taken a step to at least look and see how much it costs, they're considering buying. If they never go through and actually purchase, I can trigger some emails to go out to say, hey, we saw that you went to checkout, but maybe there's a reason you didn't end up purchasing. Would you like a 10% discount to help you make that decision easier? So something like that to really help target them and get them to go back to that checkout page. And then of course I've added a tag here. So when they land on the checkout page, they will also be tagged with the word checkout, so that I know that no matter what list they're on, they actually were on the checkout page at one point. So all of that's configured, and I click Save Rule. And now we've got all 3 of our original rules that we talked about implemented. Let's go back and take a look to make sure. So here we are again looking at our automation rules, and we looked at the video 1 rule, which removed them from list 1 and added them to list 2, or not removed, but moved, that's a better word. And then we had the video 2 rule, which moved them from list 2 to list 3, and then the checkout rule, which added them to checkout and moved them from list 3. So we've got a lot of stuff that's happening on the automation rules. We've got some action happening on the offer. So if they go through the purchase process, they're added to the subscriber list. Now I'm going to show you in the next video how to add this integration into your web pages so that they trigger when the subscribers actually hit these pages. So the next video, we'll look at integration and using our integration key and our reference IDs to set up these rules.